The King Who Chose Justice. Ateli. Part Y. The Crown and the Silence. The kingdom of Arelon had known many kings, but none had inherited a throne so heavy with silence. King Edrin Valamont was crowned on a winter morning when the bells rang without joy. The people gathered in the marble square out of duty, not hope. They bowed because tradition demanded it, not because their hearts believed in the man who now wore the crown. For years, Arelon had suffered beneath rulers who spoke of justice but practiced convenience. Laws were written beautifully and enforced selectively. The rich found doors open. The poor found walls. Edrin had grown up watching this decay. As a prince, he was never shielded from the truth. His mother, Queen Selene, had once whispered to him while pointing toward the city beyond the palace walls, "A kingdom does not fall when its enemies attack, my son. It falls when its rulers stop listening." That sentence never left him. Yet when Edrin became king at the age of 32, his council expected him to rule like those before him. Firm words, soft enforcement, alliances bought with favors. They mistook his calm for weakness. On his third night as king, Edrin removed his crown, wrapped himself in a plain cloak, and left the palace alone. He walked the narrow streets where lamps barely burned, where children slept hungry, where widows counted coins that were never enough. He listened not as a king but as a man. At a broken fountain he heard an old man say, "The law is a language spoken only to the poor." That sentence cut deeper than any blade. By dawn, King Edrin had made a decision that would change Arelon forever. Part 2. The Law That Knew No Name. 3 weeks later, the High Court of Arelon convened for a case no one expected. A farmer named Thomas Wren stood accused of stealing grain from the royal storehouses. The charge carried a sentence of 10 years in the iron mines. The evidence was clear. The crime was proven. The punishment was customary. But when the court called for judgment, King Edrin stood. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Kings did not involve themselves in such small matters. Edrin spoke calmly. "Why did you steal?" Thomas, trembling, replied, "Because my land was taxed beyond survival. My children were starving, and the law offered no ear." The court dismissed his words as excuses. Edrin did not. Instead, he ordered an audit, not of the farmer, but of the tax collectors. What followed shocked the kingdom. Records revealed systematic corruption. Officials had doubled taxes for personal gain. The law had been used as a weapon, not a shield. Edrin did something no king before him had done. He freed Thomas, returned his land, and publicly tried the officials responsible. Some were fined. Some were imprisoned. 2 were stripped of noble titles. Then the king announced a new decree. No law shall exist without accountability. No punishment shall be given without understanding, and no rank shall place a man above justice. The nobles were furious. The council warned rebellion, but the people began to whisper something unfamiliar. Hope. Part 3. The Trial of the Throne. Justice has enemies. Within a year, Arelon's powerful houses united against the king. Trade slowed. Armies hesitated. Even the high judge accused Edrin of weakening royal authority. Then came the ultimate test. Prince Alric, Edrin's cousin and a decorated military commander, was accused of ordering the execution of unarmed villagers during a border dispute. The evidence was undeniable. The crime was brutal, and the accused was family. The council pleaded privately. "Spare him," they said, "for the stability of the crown." Edrin locked himself in the Hall of Ancestors, where the names of kings were carved in stone. He read them all. Some ruled long, some ruled cruelly. None were remembered for mercy without justice. The next day, the trial was public. Edrin sat not as king, but as judge. When the verdict was read, guilty, the hall fell silent. The punishment was death. Alric looked at Edrin and said, "You would kill your own blood?" Edrin replied, voice steady, eyes broken, "I would rather lose my blood than lose my people." The sentence was carried out. That night Edrin wept alone, but the kingdom stood taller. For the first time, justice had proven it did not kneel, not even to the throne. Part 4. The History That Walked Among Men. Years passed. Arelon changed. Courts opened in villages. Taxes became transparent. The poor learned the law because the law learned them. King Edrin aged visibly, not from time but from responsibility. Yet wherever he went, people stood not out of fear but respect. On his final journey, the king returned to the broken fountain where he once listened in silence. It had been rebuilt. Children played there. An old man sat smiling. The same man. "You listened," the old man said. Edrin smiled. So did they. When King Edrin died, there were no grand monuments. Instead, every courthouse carved the same words above its door. Justice is not the power of kings. It is the duty of humanity. Historians would later write, Edrin Valamon did not rule the longest. He did not conquer the most land, but he gave his people something rarer than victory, a reason to believe in justice.